Hi, I hope I have everything wired up. Every time I do this, there's something new that I'm having to figure out. Hi, today I thought I'd give you a little special, different treat than we normally do. I want to talk a little bit about Pilates, then we'll get into yoga. So you're going to have to watch through both. If you like to do yoga with me, and make sure that you have the opportunity to do both. Okay, make sure that's on. Pilates, Joseph Pilates developed Pilates. He just called it contrology. He didn't call it by his name. Back in the early 1900s, after studying yoga and studying the way the core manages all of the muscles and the balance. So these are very similar concepts. If you do yoga with me all the time, these are concepts you probably already know. And it's a mind-body exercise. So he believed that there was this corset of the waist holding us in. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes of Pilates, then I guess we'll get into yoga. So there's this corset that wraps around, this transversus abdominis, which holds the body in and controls all movement, whether it's from your fingers to your toes. So a lot of Pilates movements have to do with, looks like the hands and the feet. And it's easy to start thinking Pilates is about the movements in the arms and the legs, but those are the weights. It's like the blocks or dumbbells we would use. They're not really the purpose. They're the weights that we're moving, the resistance. So let's start out in the seated pose. So if you can, I want you to get down to the floor, because we're going to do mostly everything on the floor. A couple of opportunities to get up today, because once we do yoga, it's going to be a hands-free day. So some of you really need that in the shoulders. We'll talk about that more. So I want you to notice that I'm trying to keep my spine straight. So if you've already done yoga with me, you know about the spine, its natural curves, and how we want to hold it in its most open, elongated. So we always have the choice of being compressed or elongated. And most of us right now, before you turned on this video, you're compressed, right? So not compression. Of course, your neck wants to stay long. We want to keep that long. So see if you can just lift off into a boat. This is from yoga. This isn't really exactly Pilates, although we have similar exercise. And I want you to try to do is see if you can extend one leg, then the other. Just see if you can move around there. Then bring your hands behind your head. Now, this is pretty hard. This is a pretty advanced movement. So then take one knee in, leg out, and then back to that bent position. One knee in, out, and bent. So I know you're probably, if you're even trying this, you're rolling around the floor. You're falling over and saying, how? How am I ever supposed to get that kind of control? So remember, Joseph Pilates called this contrology because it was about centering, control, concentration. So it's really the same things as yoga, where it's awareness. I want to come down, and maybe you can see me here. I want you to put your hands on your belly. Inhale, and exhale, pull this corset tight. Lift both legs. I'm going to start tapping one toe, then the other. Notice my leg stays in a fixed position. So even though I'm breathing in dachshund air, not everybody has that dachshund air. We want to keep the breath flowing just like in yoga, but a little powerful exhale. Each time bracing more and more and more into the core. All right, so that's called dipping the toe in the pool. Let's come into the 100. Now this is straight up Kundalini yoga. Again, you know yoga, you already know this. Chin down, spine long, pump the arms, and we inhale percussively through the nose. And then out through the mouth. Hug the knees to the chest. Now let's come up into bridge pose. So press the feet into the floor, lift the hips up. Same thing as before. We're going to march one knee in and then the other. Now the whole point of this is that your spine is up off the floor. So your abs are responsible, because we're about to go into our yoga practice that it's going to be hands-free. So you notice so far we've not even used the hands. So a lot of us have the wrist, neck, shoulder problems, especially at this time of year, where for me it's just about always being cold, and then as I have the long sleeves. But for a lot of us, it has to do with stress. It has to do with just bad posture. Some of us, it's just age. I know some of us are laughing last week that it's always age. How is that on every list? Because it is on every list. All right, so what I'm trying to do is keep my hips up high and not sink down. So my abs are having to brace. So the control for everything that's happening here is coming from the core. So control, center, concentration, flow. So there's a flow of my breath. I know I'm talking. So remember we just did that 100? It's a longer breath now. But every time I exhale, brace the core. And then come down. Let's do one more Pilates exercise. And that's the double. I hope I didn't just pull the camera. Double leg. I'm sorry. It's the crisscross. What I want you to notice is that my back, my spine, is not moving. I'm not coming up off the floor. I'm not yanking over side to side. I'm keeping the rectangle here, shoulders to hips, in one space. Again, don't get all bound up with what's happening with the arms and the legs. All right, exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. Two more good ones. Meaning really concentrate. Doesn't matter what the arms and legs are doing. All right, so let's come up. All right, so that should have gotten your abs ready. My abs are ready. All right, let's take a little stretch here while I'm talking. Inhale up, exhale over. Inhale up, exhale over. Pull the belly in. Let's do that again. Our goal today is to celebrate light. So it's like the time changed. And it's the Festival of Lights. And that's about choosing to witness the good. So we can see anything. So here's a little yoga riddle for you. Just come to a gentle twist and listen to me. Imagine for a moment pain, stress, fear in your body. So the riddle is, how do you stop that? Come to a gentle twist the other way. So, you're like me, you don't like the riddles. The answer is stop imagining it. So, in yoga, what this says is that our minds are really creating the illusion and the bondage. So we need to see beyond that veil. Usually it's ego creating the illusion of pain and suffering. That I must do this because, well, why? You know, if you could change your perspective and say, well, in the big picture, years from now, or would I have seen this way? Do I have to see it just this way? All right, so we're going to work on not grappling with the hands. Now, if you want to stay in that pose, go ahead. Or if you can, I'd like you to come up and to seat it. Now, another way to come up to seat it would be to sit on blocks. You know, arrange yourself how you need to. But think about these muscles here. So there's these muscles, the opponens pollicis and the opponens adductus. So there's that big thick muscle there that pulls that across, and then there's the digitus minimus on the other side. They pull those two in. Do this with me, even if you're just watching for fun. Do this with me. So see those two muscles? They're actually pretty big muscles. Of course, there's muscles going up and down to move the palm a little bit like this, but mostly if we're going to create this arch, this is called the carpal arch. If we're going to create that carpal arch, it's those muscles. So opponens pollicis, adductus pollicis, and digitus minimus. We love it. We love it. Anyway, two big muscles there. Three, actually. One's going across. So when we're doing our hands, in yoga, we spend a lot of time on our hands. That's really not normal. That's not probably as healthy. So even lots of arm balances, and that has been something that's developed, let's just say recently, because it looks kind of cool. And you always want to look cool, right? So we're going to release our mind from the bondage. So we're going to celebrate light and change our perspective that we don't have to do, you know, that we don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to do putting your hands down and holding on that way. So can you see beyond the veil? Can you see beyond what you're really seeing or feeling or experiencing? Can you see past what's happening? So a lot of times there's just what's right in front of your face, and that's all you can see. Can we see? And then accept responsibility for your own grappling, right? So that I'm not going to put weight on my hands. But as we go through this practice, you might, and remember, you're choosing that. So notice I'm going to try moving around here without using my hands. All right, so we went through that. So if you can come to, I'm going to say kneeling, but not on your hands. So one thing we could do is come down to the elbow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my shorter blocks. Blocks come in all shapes and sizes. You got a little unlimited space, and they're about $10 each. A bunch of money. Get a bunch of different sizes because they're fitting you. You know, just like we all have different size clothing. You have different clothes. It's fitting you. So what's important here is not that your back is horizontal. What's important is your spine is long. Same thing we just did in Pilates. Now we're doing this in yoga. So I'm putting a little bit of weight on my forearms, but not a lot. Again, the height doesn't matter to what we're doing here. So we can go from cat to cow. Now we could stay in seated pose. You could still be seated in a chair even. Cat, cow. Now begin those long breaths. Notice I'm not going to really do anything with my hands today. You can move them around. They're going to be either free or they just might be touching something, but I'm not putting pressure. What's she looking at? All right, so without putting pressure, right? Of course, I'm going to use my hands. I got to use them for something. I wish I had longer blocks. I'd have never seen them, but I would have blocks that are probably 2 feet long. Hearing something. I guess my phone's going off. So low lunge, push, then inhale up, exhale down. Now it may not be obvious if you're just watching, but my legs are doing a lot of work here. It may look like this is all about arms. So a lot of times you can see how Joseph Pilates got his ideas from yoga, that it's not what it looks like. So things aren't what they look like. Remember, our minds create illusions. So you're looking at this and thinking, oh, let me get the arms right. I'm not getting the arms right. Hopefully, the arms are opening up and moving, but this is really about legs and abs. So from here, let's see if we can come up. Now I'm not going to put my hands down, just to prove to you this is not the hands. So coming up, I could stay down. I can even touch the blocks, but no weight on the hands. See how hard this is? It's how normally we rely on the hands. The hands are always the grapplers, right? They're always doing things. Let's come back down, use the blocks, walk this foot out, and same thing, like that forearm balance. Now, you may need to take this wing, this knee out or not, push forward. Remember, you're accepting the responsibility of what you're grabbing, what you're attached to. I have another riddle for you. Okay, so how am I coming up? This was hard. This was hard. I'm going to do it again just so you can feel what I'm feeling. That was hard. That was a lot of work. You know, if I'm really going to keep my arms up, this is super hard. Let's go right onto the other side. Now, by all means, you can steady yourself with your hands, but try this hands-free version, right? No texting while doing yoga. Okay, the riddle. Why didn't the yogi buy the vacuum? It came with too many attachments. Think about it for a second. So we inhale and exhale. Now, so we're doing a Pilates breath, just to be obvious to you that I am trying to connect movement to breath. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. My legs, I'm wobbling all over the place here. I don't know if you can see. All right, so let's see if we can come up. Remember, this was hard, so here's one way. It gives your hands something to do. Come up. Then we're going to come down to the forearms. That knee can stay up or down. Experiment with that. Wing this foot out, maybe. Keep the ankles safe. We've been working on ankles lately. Whatever you're doing, you're accepting the responsibility to not have attachments like the vacuum. Remember when they used to have people come to your house to try to sell you a vacuum? Can you imagine now? Hello, yes, I'm selling you a vacuum. A vacuum. Why? So actually, let's come all the way up. Actually, let's try coming down first. So your knees are pretty handy here. This is going to be quite fancy here. So here we go, quite fancy. So you're looking at me, all right? So that's your left leg. Let's take that left leg across. First, just wrestle into a cow face pose. So I'm opening up my hips. Right now, I'm not even going to do the arms, but you know how the arms go, right? They go opposite like that. I can settle in to this cow face pose very, very long time. So I'm very attached to hip openers. They're really... All right, now let's see. Hands up. Right? Can you take this foot? I don't care how much you have to wiggle around. But what we're going to do is come up, around, and then down. Yes, yes, very, very flattering, Candace. You really thought this one through. Hang there, kiss the puppy, and then keep going. So now you're going over to your, I guess that's your right. I'm not sure anymore. No, that's your left, isn't it? So I put my hand down, just because I'm not paying attention, I'm talking. But I'm trying to do this without. So now this is your right knee. Your right knee's up on top. Wiggle in. So it's a celebration of light this week. And what that means is that there's good things coming. It's kind of like New Year when you look forward and say, you know, here's the good stuff. The good stuff is on its way. So your perspective is I'm going to look forward, you know, not back. And there's not to say there's things we can't learn and do things, but this is where we are. We're facing forward. Should we try that one again? I think that one's kind of fun. So we're here in cow face. We stretch the hips. Then we're going to try coming up. So, however, I don't know how I did that. I guess I did it with rocking. I don't know. I don't know how you... Maybe if you were in cow face and you sat on a block, sat on another block, maybe that would help. Then you can push off. I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to tell me. You have to tell me. So when I come to see you this week, tell me how this worked. Or didn't work, right? So, balance. Wow, this part is hard. Around, and then the forward fold. All right, so hopefully now we're all up. Let's take a minute to come up. So balance on one leg. You probably can't see my head anymore. I'm not sure if I can even move that. Balance on one leg. Step only halfway back. So normally we go all the way into that lunge. Step only halfway back, turn out. Inhale up. Straighten the front leg. Exhale, forward fold. And then we'll try the other side, so step forward. So get this balance first. You know, you see I can balance. I'm wrong and go halfway back. Turn out. Inhale up. Straighten the front leg. Exhale, forward fold. Okay, so the way we're going to come down is by using these legs. These legs are strong, and these legs need to be strong. Let's just leave the hands out of it now. Yeah, we want to strengthen wrists. We'll do that in a second. But with legs, have to be strong too, and balance. So, again, by all means, use your hands. I'm not saying, oh, you should have to do this without your hands. But if you have bad, wrists, you have arthritis, or any of the pains there, you don't want to further compress. So it's worth working, strengthening this way. So there was one way to come down. Again, my knees will allow me to do this first, but you may have to come down, just, use the blocks and sit first and then come down. Maybe one block, then the other. Again, use your hands. By all means, use a couple of blocks and then come down. Use my hand there. We're going to come around, sorry. Practice that little move there. Let me show you that again. So this is ankle. This is ankle strength. This is Pilates, believe it or not, Pilates. In my class, I don't work on this so much, but this is ankle strength. That's ankle strength to be able to do that. So you can stay like this or come around to the knees. Either way, I want to put some pressure, believe it or not, on the hands. I know I just said don't. I'm just going to use my blocks so I don't have to lean too far forward. So when you put your hands down, remember this carpal arch. That's what I wanted to focus on. My hands go off the block there. Push the fingers to that palm there, not inside this arch. That's the strength. And see these last digits here? That's the strength. So the strength of the hands and putting weight on the hands should come from as much of the hands as the wrist. So the wrist is not really like the ankle. It's not made to have this. And our hands aren't made to flex as far as we normally do in yoga. So we really should be putting more pressure on the fingertips. The fingertips and that palm ridge there. So practice that a few times. So if you're okay with this, by all means, practice putting weight. So this is like, I'm gonna call this like finger push-up. So really what you're doing is you're extending the fingers, extending the fingers, extending the fingers. So it's not about dumping into the heel, it's about pushing up and away. So do a couple of these push-ups with your hands. And I actually am putting weight. And the fingers, again, I'm using all the joints and dispersing my body weight pressure on all the joints. All right, that's it. So I'm not using my hands. I'm going to roll like a ball. So I'm visiting Pilates one more time here. So hopefully you're not on hardwood. I am a little bit, so hopefully you've got some mat underneath you. So round the back and roll back. Come up, see if you can balance. You can lift the legs up, round the back, roll back. Come up, see if you can balance. Round the back, roll back. Come up, see if you can balance. Now, just work on this. Just work on this. If your back doesn't round very well, then leave this out. But if you can manage this, this is worth the mind-body connection. Remember, Pilates is the same concept as it is in yoga. One more time. Good. So I would like you to come to Shavasana. That means lie all the way down and back, get comfortable. When you come all the way down into Shava, into body, notice that this pose, this Shava body pose, can only be done one way, meaning everything is turned off. All the lights are dim. And the mind's still on. That light's still on inside of there. You get a little bit more comfortable wherever you are. Honor the spine and let it breathe. Put aside everything else now and practice this. Bring your mind to an image. I'm going to choose the fire in the fireplace. So it's a safe fire. in your mind, look into the fire. The first thing you notice is how big or small it is. Is it a big fire? And then I want you to notice the colors. So different heat puts off different color. So anywhere from kind of a cool red, fiery white blue. And notice how the colors keep changing. So this is heat, changing, color. And with the light colors, there's more light. And with light comes shadow. So as you're watching this fire, watch the shadows too. Now your mind can choose to watch just part of the fire. Like if this were created by gas, down at the beginning of the fire, you'd see the blue of the gas. You could choose to see just the tips of the flame. You can choose to let the fire make you feel warm. Now, not all fire creates a lot of warmth for you. Depends. There could be something between you. It could be too far away. The fire could be an illusion, like it's on the television. But you choose how this fire makes you feel. Now, you take everything that's on the outside, like if there's a fireplace, there's things next to you, and erase them from the picture. So all there is the flames. And then I'm going to say one flame. So it looks sort of like a candle flame now. And choose a more uniform color that represents something that's warming and comforting to you. Now imagine that you feel warm, comforted. You feel relaxed. You feel happy. You feel joy. You feel nurtured. There's a sense that everything you need is being taken care of. You feel like you're resting. And now you feel, because your eyes are closed, the warmth of the light on your skin. And maybe outside of this connection, there's cold. Maybe there's dark. But in this light that's touching you, that the little photons, little particles of light and heat that are reaching you, there's a real connection, because you can feel it. Now I want you to absorb the light and the heat and the feeling. And nothing else. And so you are accepting full responsibility for this feeling you have now. I'd like to remind you, as you're relaxed and feeling warm and comforted, nurtured, cared for, safe, beautiful, perfect, connected, infinite, full of energy and life, that this light that's now inside of you, that's connecting to this imaginary light, it's always there. Your pilot is always there. It just gets clouded, just like when there's clouds in the sky. It's always there. You can't see the sun. It's always there. It's always there. When you take a breath in, take a breath into that light. When you take that breath out, expand it like you're the sun, radiating, warming. Do that again. Now take your time, slowly roll to your side. Open your eyes. push off the floor. Come up into seated pose. Take a seat inside this candle flame. Bring the hands together. Pull the shoulders down. As you push the palms together and into the heart, feel the hands, feel the warmth. Maybe move your head a little side to side. Come back to center. Now grow up tall, like someone's pulling top of your head up. Zip the abdominals in. Feel strong, confident, like I can move myself around. Here we go. Let's inhale, touch everything. Exhale, come back to the celebration. I celebrate you and the light. Namaste.